Welcome to this Parent Connection webinar session on registration and advising. Thank you all for joining us this evening. I want to personally apologize for having to reschedule this webinar on short notice. As you may or may not be aware, the Office of Parent Relations and the Office of Alumni Relations merged this past July into one office, which is now called the Office of Alumni and Parent Relations. This was a strategic decision to leverage the resources for our students and their network beyond academia, as well as the resources for our alumni and parents. We were finding that many of the needs of these seemingly individual audiences often dovetailed, and as such, it made the most sense to combine the resources and create a more fully functioning and fully resourced office. As with any transition, we are going through some growing pains. As such, this webinar was one of those growing pains that I needed to get up to speed on in order to effectively present to you all tonight. To share, the Office of Alumni and Parent Relations now consists of myself, Cynthia Bachelor, Assistant Director, my supervisor, who is our Director, Eddie Kenny, Karen Duvall, who's our Coordinator, and someone who is scheduled to begin on Monday. She will be our event planner, Amanda Lappin. Now for tonight, we have a very informative session planned for you, and we encourage you to take notes and ask any questions that come to mind. I would like to first introduce myself to you because I am fairly new to most of you. Like I said, my name is Cynthia Bachelor, and I'm the Assistant Director of Alumni and Parent Relations here at St. Leo University. A little bit about myself. I received an AA degree in liberal arts with a concentration in biology from Pensacola State College. I received my Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology from the University of South Alabama in Mobile, Alabama, and my Master of Education degree here in Tampa with a concentration in college student affairs from the University of South Florida. I also received a graduate certificate in career counseling from the University of South Florida, and I am currently in the candidacy stage of my doctoral program at USF. Overall, I have approximately 15 years of experience in higher education, working in various settings. Most of those years, however, were spent at the University of South Florida in progressively responsible positions. I came to St. Leo University a month and 1 day ago, September 23rd to be exact, and I am very grateful and excited to be here. Before we get into the session, I'd like to share with you that you can find the archived versions of most of our previous webinars by going to our website or by going directly to YouTube and typing in the word St. Leo Parents as one word. On that page, you'll find all of the webinars that we have done this year. Our topic today is advising and registration. We will cover everything that you as a parent need to know about the advising and registration process here at St. Leo University. Our original guest presenter, Michelle Tracy, was unable to join us this evening, but we're happy to have Heather Durand, Administrator for Student Academic Progress, with us tonight. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you.
This presentation will inform and give you a greater understanding of some of the general concepts as well as the specific details that you, as the parent of a St. Leo student, should keep in mind with regard to advising and registration. We're going to give you an overview of important dates, policies, and other key information to note as your student is preparing for their academic journey. Since this is a webinar, we have set up the program so that you will be able to view and listen to our presentation. I'm sure that many of you will have some questions. This session is, after all, a mostly Q&A topic, so I hope you've come prepared with lots of questions. Heather will give you an overview, and throughout her presentation, as you think of questions, please type those questions into the chat box, and at the end of the presentation, we will take some time to answer them. So here's a little bit about our guest presenter tonight. Heather began at St. Leo University as an undergraduate student in fall 2005 at the university campus. She completed her bachelor's degrees in political science and international studies in the spring of 2009. She had been working in the Office of Academic Advising as a student worker with the LEAP program in the summer of 2008, and she had thoroughly enjoyed her work. She has been working full-time at St. Leo University since January of 2010. She was the Student Services Coordinator for Academic Advising from 2010 to 2012, and then became the Administrator for Student Academic Progress, which is the position she currently holds. Her position puts her in contact with a wide variety of students and allows her to work with multiple departments on campus to assist with student success. One last thing before we get into our presentation. Please keep in mind that FERPA laws prevent us from answering specific questions pertaining to private student records during this public webinar session. Our staff is happy to address specific student issues privately after the session during normal business hours. They may ask if you have a FERPA release on file. I do, however, encourage you to ask questions this evening that you have that do not pertain to specific student records. You can ask questions by typing them into the chat box, and at the end of the presentation, we will take some time to answer the questions that you submit through the chat box. If we do not get to all of the questions during the session, we will follow up with you personally by phone or email. I think I've gone on long enough with this introduction. So Heather, let's begin.
Welcome to the Registration and Advising webinar. This is your webinar host, Cynthia Bachelor, and then I'm Heather Durand, your presenter. It is the most wonderful time of the year because we're getting ready for spring registration, which will open Monday, November 4th, 2013. And this PowerPoint will review the steps for students to schedule appointments with their academic advisors and register for courses for the spring term. And registration does not open until Monday. We get some students who think they can register early and things like that, but Monday is when we are able to access registration in our data management system. All students who have earned less than 60 credit hours must meet with their advisor to register for classes, and that's generally the freshman and sophomore years. Students below 60 credit hours may not register themselves or make changes to their schedules online. Even though there is that 60 credit hour rule, we recommend that all students, regardless of their standing, meet with an advisor at least twice each semester. And again, registration begins Monday, November 4th. Students are assigned discipline-specific advisors either when they first begin as freshmen by the registrar, or if they change their major, they'll be assigned an advisor by their school coordinator. Students in the undeclared and Associate of Arts programs are assigned advisors specific to those programs as well. The advisor's name and email address will appear at the top of the student's program evaluation, which is accessible to the student via eLion. And the student can also locate their advisor by speaking to their school coordinator. Each school has a coordinator, and there's several in different schools, and the students can just find them and ask them really any questions. If they find that their advisor is out of the office, general information, they can always ask the coordinator, and they can also come to our office, the Office of Academic Advising. And in the week prior to registration, many advisors will post schedules on their doors for students to sign up for appointments for registration. And I did speak with a couple of advisors, and some of them have already done that. So the student should be able to get kind of an appointment made within the next few weeks. Student account holds are something that will prevent registration, and students should check eLion or check with TrainStop, which is on the first floor of St. Edward Hall, to determine if a financial hold is on their student account. And students with account holds must resolve them before we can register. Advisors are not able to lift financial holds, and so it's really important that if students need to resolve a balance, get on a payment plan or a payment agreement, that they do take care of that prior to coming to the advising appointment. And there's a couple of common holds, and one of the most common is the health center, and generally that's just medical documentation that may need to be submitted, but the health center will notify the home address if that's the case. The student and his or her academic advisor can review which courses are required to take, as well as any courses in the chosen major or program the student is eligible to take. And that's important because I think students can rely a little too much on their peers in choosing, oh, you should definitely take this course or that course. But the advisor can really help the student in choosing the course that best suits him or her. Students who are undeclared are generally not registered for a math course because the math course requirements will differ greatly by program, and so we don't want to put the student in a math course that once they choose the major it isn't applicable to that major, or perhaps a math course that they'll need to take multiple. But once the student declares a major, he or she may register for the course in mathematics, and then their placement will be determined by their placement scores. And students should keep realistic expectations about their schedules. We get plenty of students that come in and I only want class Tuesday and Wednesday from 10:30 to 2 p.m. And we really emphasize with students that they shouldn't be picking their schedules based on time.
Just a moment, we have a hand raised. Go ahead. Is that Luann?
Oh, I'm sorry. I must have hit something. How do I?
Oh, that's okay. So I can undo the hand raise. So you didn't have a question, Luann?
No, my screen went away and I was trying to get it back.
Okay, were you able to see the presentation?
No, I just have a white box, but I didn't mean to raise my hand.
Oh, that's okay, no problem. Were you originally able to see the screen though?
No, it's just a white box and it says registration and academic advising, but I thought there was going to be a PowerPoint.
And you're not able to see the PowerPoint? Okay.
No.
Let's see if we can.
It could be my computer. I don't want to hold up the presentation. I'm fine.
Okay, no problem. Thank you for letting us know.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Just give us one moment. We're just adjusting something.
Judy, are you able to see the PowerPoint presentation? Judy, are you there? Oh, there we go. Judy, are you able to see the PowerPoint presentation? Luann, what about you? Can you see it now?
It just popped up for the first time. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. And, okay. Let me ask you this, Luann. Would it be beneficial for for us to start over? And we don't mind doing that at all. This is for your benefit.
No, I'm very embarrassed. I'm sorry to have hit the wrong button.
No, I don't think it was you. I think that it was an error on our end. So please do not be embarrassed. I think it was an error on our end. I'm new, and so we're learning this as we go. So I think that was an error on our end. So would it be helpful for us to start over?
Oh, no, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I do apologize for that. And please, if you have any questions, do let us know as we go through. You can just enter them into the chat box. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, back to meeting with an advisor. Students should keep realistic expectations about their schedules. Many students think that they should only be in class maybe 2 or 3 days per week, and then specific time frames. And I think it's really important that students meet with their advisors to really choose the class that best benefits them, and that they really understand that almost all of our students, even our commuters, are taking classes 5 days a week at various times. And each student has a unique set of needs, skills, strengths, and concerns, and meeting with an advisor offers the student the opportunity to work one-on-one with someone to ensure that the student is on the path to success. One of the common things that we hear, especially right around registration, is the student saying they cannot find their advisor. And if the student is unable to locate his or her advisor, the student may go to any of the school coordinators or to the Office of Academic Advising for assistance, and we will certainly I've walked many students directly to an advisor's office and we've waited with them. So they should definitely not feel like intimidated or concerned that they can't find them. We will help find the advisor. And the student may also want to email his or her advisor to set up an appointment to meet with them. And all university faculty and staff email addresses are formatted as firstname.lastname@stleo.edu. And that's just a little bit different from the students who have the tail end of @email.stleo.edu. Once we've gotten to meet with the student and they've chosen their schedule, oftentimes we'll hear that they want to change their schedule. And sometimes it's motivated by, oh, I spoke with my friend, my roommates, and they said I shouldn't take this professor, this class. And that's something we really discourage because what one student struggles with may be something that another student is successful at. And so I really encourage the students to go to that first week in January, attend the classes, get a look at the syllabus, see how they feel in the course, and then they have that whole first week, which is called drop add, and they can change their schedule sort of as much as they need and however they feel they want to change it without any penalties. And that'll end the Friday of the first week of the term. Faculty members are not available on campus during the Christmas break, so students will not be able to reach them if they have questions or concerns about the schedule. However, the Academic Advising Office will be open until December 20th and will reopen on January 6th if students need assistance, and we can certainly help any student regardless of major. You can just give us a call and we can kind of work through whatever issues you or the student may be facing. Repeating failed courses. If a student fails a foundation course in the fall semester, he or she must have that course added to their spring schedule. And the foundation courses are our English courses, English 121, which is Academic Writing 1, English 122, which is Academic Writing 2, Con 140, which is Basic Computer Skills, and then Math 003 or higher, really any of the math courses. And the reason we require them to repeat them is they really are, as their name says, foundation courses, and they really build a basis for the student to be successful throughout their entire time here at St. Leo. If any changes are made to the student's schedule after they've been registered, we will notify them via their St. Leo email. And then students must repeat failed courses at St. Leo University. Many of the 300 and 400 level courses and then some of the 200 level will have course requirements that are prerequisites, and students are required to take and successfully complete a lower level course before moving on to the next course. And for example, the English 121, Academic Writing 1, is a prerequisite for English 122. So the student needs a C or better in English 121 in order to move on to 122. And students may not take the prerequisites at the same time as the course requiring the prerequisite. So they can't take the 121 and 122 in the same semester. Now this will vary greatly depending on the major and which course, and so the student's academic advisor can review which courses the student is eligible to take and which courses require prerequisites. And our office will be hosting the registration fair on October 29th, October 30th, and October 31st, and it's just an opportunity for us to open lines of communication with students, and they'll get the opportunity to meet with an advisor, and it doesn't necessarily have to be their advisor, but an advisor in their discipline, and they can plan their spring schedule and then discuss any questions or concerns and really think about, am I looking at a different major? What options do I have within the major I'm in? It's just an opportunity for them to stop by and informally meet with someone so that they feel maybe a little bit more comfortable moving forward. And that's going to be the 29th from 1 to 3 p.m., the 30th from 1 to 3 p.m., and the 31st from 9 to 11 a.m. And our registration does not open until Monday, November 4th, but during the fair they can plan out their course schedule, and then once that's approved by their advisor, they can get registered, as long as there are no account holds as we talked about previously. An important note about FERPA, we get a lot of parents calling not really understanding how FERPA will affect them, and that's the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. From our end, the university is not permitted to share information about the student's academic record with anyone who is not listed on the student's FERPA waiver. We do not require students to sign the FERPA waiver. It's always up to them, and they determine who they'd like to list on the waiver. And if students would like to sign a waiver, they may find a form in their school coordinator's office or in the registrar's office. And it's important because students may not realize that they need to even sign FERPA in order to give mom, dad, a parent, or guardian access to their record. They may just say, oh, you can call, and they'll tell you about it. But in fact, we do need the student to sign that waiver in order for us to discuss really anything specific to the student's academic record. And students are always welcome to visit the Office of Academic Advising if they have questions or concerns. We can talk about the various majors that are on campus, what resources are on campus to help with student success, and just literally anything if they just want to stop by and say hi. We are there throughout most of the semesters as well as through the summer, and then again up until December 20th before Christmas break. And Michelle Tracy is the Director of Academic Advising. I'm the Administrator for Student Academic Progress, and Rose Woodard is our Academic Advisor. Our offices are located on the 3rd floor of St. Edward Hall, rooms 322A and B, or room 320.
Thank you very much, Heather. Okay, so at this time, does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask? Remember, you can enter your questions into the chat feature. Okay. Well, it looks like we don't have any questions this evening in the chat. I did have a question for you, Heather. What are some of the most common things that you would say trip students up when they are trying to get registered and started? Do you find?
Definitely, the first thing is the account holds, and it's just as simple as them logging into Eline and just looking at their student account history to determine if they're carrying a balance, and then just confirming that with TrainStop, because we have plenty of advisors that say I get through the whole appointment, I go to register the student, and the account hold prevents them. And during registration, classes can open and close rather quickly, and then some of the desirable classes and times will get filled up, and so it's just really easy for the student to be proactive and check their accounts and make sure that there's nothing preventing them from registering.
And they have access to that
Correct.
At all times, so they can always check Eline for that information.
Correct.
Okay. What other things would you recommend a student do in order to ensure that they get the classes that they want to get?
Well, students can also look on the St. Leo website, and if they click the Find It Fast tab at the top of the website, there'll be a course schedules link, and that'll open a new page, and then from the 2 drop-down menus, from the first, they'll just select University Campus, and then the second box, 2014 SP1, and that'll bring up all the courses that are being offered at the university campus. And it's helpful for advisors if the student writes down the courses that they're interested in. Even if they have never taken an accounting course but they see Accounting 201, write that down, and that'll facilitate a conversation with the advisor. I was really interested in this course, can you tell me more about it? But it also helps to have the student come in with maybe 8 courses selected and the times, just so the advisor can just use that as a springboard to begin the registration process and say, okay, I think this is going to be a good class for you, but are you sure you want an 8 a.m.? Are you sure you want to be at 5 p.m.? And so if the student comes in prepared with a list of courses that they're interested in, that can really help the advising appointment get off, especially if this is the first time the student has met with their advisor. they may feel a little bit uncomfortable or unsure, but just having that list really begins the conversation.
Okay, good. And then what about students who aren't sure what maybe they want to major in? How is that handled?
A lot of our majors for introductory courses, and so I encourage students, if you see a 101 or a 121 course, intro to really anything, take it and see if it's something that you're interested in, because almost all of our majors have elective credits. And so even if they don't end up taking that major, those credits will count towards the completion of a degree. And we also have career services, which offers a bunch of surveys and quizzes and tests students can take to determine their interests.
Mm-hmm.
And I also recommend that students just kind of talk to advisors. If they don't really understand what a major is, talk to an advisor or a professor in that field, because I get plenty of students who come in and go, well, I have to major in blank, and I ask them why, and they say, well, what else would I do? Mm-hmm. It's like, let's look at your interests, what you really like, what entices you. What I always tell students, find your passion, and this will never feel like you're studying. It'll feel like you're climbing this really great mountain. And so we really work with a couple of different resources to make sure that students do find their passion and really enjoy what they're studying and understand to the fullest capacity of what's available to them.
Okay. And one last question that I thought might be helpful for our parents. Let's say there's a student that is an overachiever and really wants to get involved and is interested in maybe exploring the field of advising in the future for themselves. Are there any involvement opportunities on campus or any organizations they might be able to kind of take part in to get some advising experience and become an academic advisor later on in life like you?
Well, it's very funny that you say that. I met with a couple of people, some alum that work here, and they said, yeah, my friends always told me, how do you have a job in admissions and advising and alumni relations? How do you major in that? And you really just have a passion for people. And what our department has are peer mentors, and those are students who have completed freshman year, they're sophomores, and they work with the student population that we work with, students who maybe need a little additional assistance, students who may feel a little lost, and just really any student who comes to our office and is seeking help. And our peer mentors really focus on time management, organization, and study skills. Mm-hmm. And those three things really help students adjust to college, because even if they were very successful in high school, the transition can be very overwhelming. And the last thing we want is a student just to kind of close themselves off and avoid contact. And so the peer mentor is a really great way for the student to speak to somebody their own age in their similar situation and feel comfortable opening up to them. And so we have about 13 peer mentors this semester, and they really do a lot of our legwork, and they really do almost 1,000 hours each semester. Working with our students, working with students that they meet in the library, that they meet on campus, and just really encouraging those students to get involved and really become a part of the St. Leo community.
And do they go through any training for that?
They are trained through a national certification program through the Bacchus Network. They become certified peer educators.
Oh, wow.
And they have to complete an entire semester's worth of training. And then they'll be taking an exam, and then the national network will determine whether or not they have completed the exam.
Oh, okay. So it's somewhat rigorous, and is there a selection process as well for being selected to be a part of it, or how does a student go about expressing their interest?
Well, we post the job on the student job board every semester, and then we also, when we interview candidates, we're really looking for candidates that have a passion. And I have had candidates come in and say, well, I'm really just looking for a campus job, and those aren't the people that are going to be the best fit. We find students from all backgrounds, and students who said, oh, I am struggling right now, or students who are saying, I'm doing a double major and I'm going to study abroad. And we hire a variety of students because we find that the students that we work with don't respond to one type of person, and there isn't one type of student out there.
Right,
and so
exactly.
We really go by how the interaction is during the interview. Obviously, they need to have a 2.75 GPA, and then just how do they feel that their experience has been at the St. Leo community. I think our most successful peer mentors are the ones who initially themselves needed a peer mentor. And we get a lot of students who come back and say, oh, I want to be a peer mentor now because I had such success with my peer mentor, and I really think it's a good program. And so I think that's the best reflection on our program is when they come back to us and they're knocking on our door going, hey, I want to work for you now.
Fantastic. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, great. Well, I don't see that we have any additional questions that have come up. So with that, that's all the time that we have for this evening. I do hope that you'll join us for our future Parent Connection webinars. We have not set any new dates or topics yet, but when we do, they will be posted on our website at www.stleo.edu/parent-connection-webinars. You will be able to register for them from this site as well. Also, at the end of this webinar, you will receive a quick 3-question survey. If you all do not mind, please take a few seconds to let us know what you thought about this session. Thank you all so much, and have a very wonderful evening.